Franco-Cook. I am an author. I've been at it about 10 years now, and I'd like to briefly touch on a couple of things that I pay attention to before I ever dive into writing a story, right? And the first thing is plot. How's it going to unfold? It's the sequence of events that make up the entire story, right? Not just what happened, but how one event leads to another. So when we look at Bram Stoker's Dracula, he unfolded his story using diary entries, which was brilliant because it allowed the reader to almost eavesdrop on what each of the characters were feeling and thinking, right? It was a classic story of good and evil. But to me, one of the most important elements of the story would be characterization. Without good characters, it's hard to have a good story, right? What is characterization? Usually it's the mental and moral qualities that make an individual unique. When we peel back layers, what do we find? What are their quirks, right? So when we look at Dracula, right, the reason he has set the stage for horror over time is because he wasn't just a vampire, right? He had the charisma of Brad Pitt and the mood swings of a menopausal woman like me. One minute he's regaling you with his warrior stories, and the next he's throwing a fit because his brides are engaged in a game of eat the guest. But it made him interesting. It made him cool. It made him scary. Then we look at Professor Van Helsing, who was the original strategist. He was the 19th century version of the Winchesters from Supernatural, minus the cool car and the good-looking dad, right? We got Renfield, the eccentric. He would have put PetSmart out of business today. Why? Because he liked to eat little creatures, because he felt like he was absorbing their life force, all with the intent of meeting his master's grand plan. But he was a sympathetic character because he obviously struggled with mental illness. Last but not least was Jonathan Harker, the reluctant hero, who was sent to Transylvania to meet with Dracula to do a real estate transaction, only to learn that Dracula can scale walls like a goth version of Superman. And then Jonathan Harker escapes somehow narrowly with his life and returns to London only to find that he has to face off with this goth version of Spider-Man, right? But you get to see his character growth over time, which made him interesting. So I hope this helped. And if you would like to learn more about me, you can look me up on my website, Andrea, Franco-Cook, author.com, right? So until next time, my friends, happy writing.